Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. Colby, I went ahead and recorded it, so we're good there. Thank you for attending our Math Supplemental Curriculum Fall Kickoff. We are going to go over some information that if you're new to your role, will be new information to you. If you were in your role last year, it will be mostly a repeat of information. As soon as this webinar is over, I will request to post the webinar and the recording onto our website. So it should be up within the next week or so. If you have any colleagues that were not able to join, I know it's the first day of school for a lot of people, or if not the first day, it's the first week. So, we want to make this available to view asynchronously as well. So it will be up in about a week or so. So let's go ahead and get started. First of all, if you are in attendance, then congratulations, you were renewed for your Math Supplemental Curriculum grant for year 2. Last year was our first year, and that means that you all met your usage requirements and have been working diligently to ensure that students are using the program that they're assigned. So we really appreciate that, and we are excited to see the growth that students make from using these products. My teammates, I'm Krista Workman, Texas Tutoring Specialist. Also with me on this webinar is Dr. Colby Self. He is the Director of Texas Tutoring Supports, and Isa Maldonado is also on the line as well. They're going to help monitor if you have questions. We were notified that the chat is disabled, but you can post questions in the Q&A. So if you have any questions, please feel free to post them there, and we'll try to answer them throughout the webinar. If we don't get to them, we'll email you afterwards with an answer. Our agenda for today, we already finished number 1, welcome, introductions, and congratulations. In true education format, we are going to go over our objectives for the meeting. Then we'll talk about the initiative a little bit. We'll talk specifically about the providers, and then we will get into the requirements for each school system or LEA. And then just a few important reminders and some next steps for you all to be aware of. If you do have questions, we have our TEA help desk. Throughout the year, you're always welcome to submit a ticket to the TEA help desk. We really try to get back to you within 24 hours. We can't guarantee, but we do guarantee that we'll get back to you within 3 business days. So if you have any questions throughout the year, please do not hesitate to ask us. We also have the Lasso 2.0 website that will have all of our decks and webinars and things like that are always accessible throughout the year. I am going to kick it over to Colby to go over our objectives for today.
Thanks, Krista. Just review, and for a lot of you, this is going to be review, but we wanted to have this webinar because many of you may be new to your role, or maybe you just need a review about what the Math Supplemental Curriculum Initiative is. So we're here to provide the quick overview, maybe new or need a review, reminders of some upcoming deadlines and the grant requirements, and provide details of the upcoming TEA office hours. So there's additional supports coming if needed. A little bit about the initiative. Overall initiative is $25 million. It is in-kind supports only. That means there's not any direct funding coming to school systems. We have close to 300 school systems participating. We're going to talk a little bit about the timeline. There is a different date to be aware of. And again, as we've talked about from the beginning of the program, licenses do end in February of 2026, and that is due to the source of funds for this grant. The purpose of the program is to provide licenses that are high quality supplemental curriculum for pre-K through 12 math for learning accelerated settings. So you may be using this for tutoring, such as meeting House Bill 1416 requirements, or high impact tutoring programming, blended learning. But you've agreed to a set of requirements. You've submitted a planning documents as an example. agreed to specific training, submitted examples of a schedule of where you're going to implement the use of the products, evidence of administrator buy-in and implementation, and how you're going to monitor the data that comes out of the usage. And you've agreed to use the product with fidelity. So again, you're here for that reason. You've shown that you've been able to use the product as designed for student outcomes. So congratulations. We're glad to have you back. Here's some timelines that have come and gone, and we're in the year 2 of implementation now through February of 2026. Again, just a reminder, reiterate, funding for the project expires in February 2026. We'll send out several reminders, but just planning, and you'll need to talk to your provider. Each provider's handling that somewhat differently, but go ahead and start planning now what's going to happen after that February date, if you will. The logic model, and so far we've seen resounding success with implementation, is getting everybody aligned with the buy-in and understanding what the purpose of the program is. So we thank y'all for submitting that and being admitted into the program. Schedules were submitted, working with the vendors. In this case, we call our vendors providers to get the training scheduled, and that's required. So you can say, well, we did training last year, but a requirement of our providers is that they do an annual training, because not much may have changed with the program, but we want to be sure that everybody coming in, you probably have new staff, new people coming into the district. Everybody understands how to use a product, how to generate reports, and understand how to monitor that usage. Rostering students is important. We do have some specific data requirements that we need our providers to collect as part of the rostering. So they'll be sure to share that with you or your IT staff, whether you're using ClassLink or another student information system type import. It's important that y'all work together on ensuring that the correct data sets are provided there. We want to ensure that you're using the product with fidelity, and we'll have charts and resources. If you forget that, you can always talk to the provider or reference our prior decks. Those haven't changed from last year's usage expectations. Those haven't changed from phase to phase or term to term, as we like to say it. And we're looking at student star outcomes, trending toward positive student outcomes for those students that have used it with fidelity on that end. So we're excited to see those outcomes coming in here shortly from some of our providers. So here we are today. Our STAR impact efficacy study for products are underway. Yellow again, you'll probably say he said this 1,000 times, but our grant does end at the end of February. So even in January, some of the providers will probably be wrapping up and talking to you about next steps, probably sooner than that. But if you haven't heard from them, I would be proactive in your planning about next steps to ensure that you have what you need for possible summer school or other programming that you may need with after school and other setups you may need for your students. Chris, I don't know if you have anything to add to the timeline on that, but feel free to chime in, or Isa, on that.
Thanks, Colby. No, as Colby mentioned, we're in year 2 of the implementation. So all of the orange pieces that you see on the left are things that your LEA has already completed. Again, if you're new to your role, you may need to ask someone if you're looking for those documents. Or again, you can submit a help desk ticket if you're wondering like what your data planning document was. We have all of those things that have already been submitted. We did not ask for them to be submitted again in year 2. The thought process was you submitted them in year 1, you followed them because your usage was high enough to be renewed. And so we are assuming that you still have a plan in place for this year. We will be tracking usage this year and access this year as well, just to make sure that students are still using with fidelity. but there is nothing required to be submitted to TEA, with the exception of you would have gotten an email if you were asked to complete a mitigation plan. Those are very LEA specific, so if you don't know what I'm talking about, then it probably does not apply to you. But again, feel free to always ask questions if you have them.
And
We are going to get into, oh, Colby, did you have anything else?
no, and just remember those parameters still there. We are monitoring usage and access initially by the dates and usage. So um, it is a short time through February. I know that'll go by fast, but we want to ensure that you have the licenses and the access you need until that time period's up. So thank you for being here. And I said, if you're new and you need access to any of those documents, like I didn't see what our data plan was and can't find it, reach out and we'll try to get those for you. Thank you.
Absolutely. So we're going to talk about some of the provider requirements overall. So this is, again, if you were here last year, you are very familiar with this slide. If you are new, I'll kind of go over it. These are the usage thresholds that each provider has is being held to. So all of the students that use this product are being held to these usage requirements, and that is the column in the middle here. We did provide this column on the right that has the approximate time. That's just to help in planning purposes. But unless the requirement is a minute, so for example, Carnegie, their requirement is actually 20 minutes a week. So that's the same. But for most of them, it's going to be like IXL, we're not tracking 25 to 30 minutes of students on the program. We're tracking, did they answer at least 15 questions per week? And so that's just something to note. The time is there just to help with planning, but the usage that we are looking at is that middle column under the usage threshold. Every provider has a little bit different usage threshold from what their studies have shown, shows the most student growth. And so that is what we will be tracking and looking toward this school year. Um, I have put this in and highlighted it and put it in bold. All licenses need to be accessed between September 1st and September 30th. Of course, if you are up and running with your provider, if you've been trained and students have been rostered and they tell you that you have the go ahead to go ahead and start using licenses this month, that is fine. Our contracts renew with them September 1st. So any student that logs in August, their usage will be tracked for like last school year, but ours renews September 1. So if students are logging in and using with Fidelity, it shouldn't be an issue because there's probably not an instance where a student logs in August and then doesn't log in again until October. But we need to make sure that all students access between September 1st and September 30th. Last year, if you were with us, we asked that all students logged in by October 30th. This year, we've moved that deadline up just because it's the second year of implementation. Most LEAs are familiar with their provider, so the launch period should be a little bit shorter. And then also with that end date of February, it's important that students get up and using quickly so that way they can really get the benefits of the program. Providers should be reaching out to train all necessary staff and roster students. Again, as Colby mentioned, training does need to be completed every year. So even if you all completed training last year, you will need to complete another training this year. Again, providers are aware of this and should be in contact with you all to make sure that this happens prior to students accessing licenses. Um, Providers may have additional deadlines. So just please make sure that you are working with them, hearing from them. If you are like, hey, I haven't heard from my provider, I don't know, again, send us a message or send us a TEA help desk ticket, and we are more than happy to communicate with you all. This is a big one. Providers are required to collect the Texas Student Data Systems, the TSDS unique 10-digit student ID. This was a requirement last year. A lot of the providers had a little bit of trouble getting it. I'm not sure I think there might have been an IT issue or something going on, but This is something that they are required to gather. It is something that was agreed upon in the grant assurances when LEAs applied for the grant and signed up for the grant. So if you are not sure how to do that, please work with someone in your IT department to make sure that that number is provided to the providers. It's the only way that we can track which students are logging in and then track toward student usage growth or student growth based on their usage. And then also, providers cannot provide more licenses than the LEA was allocated without our approval. So they may be able to give you additional licenses, but they will likely have to, charge you in a contract outside of TEA. So if you need more licenses, talk with them. They'll likely have you talk with us and see what we can do. But whatever your max number of licenses that you were allocated is the max number that they are able to provide. And then this is an overview for the LEAs, so for each school system. Most of the items on this slide have already been accomplished. So, making sure that you have campus level administrators, district IT directors, the superintendent, all in agreement of and aware of the MSC grant. That would have happened previously. If there's been turnover, just please make sure those individuals are still aware of the grant and agree to have students utilize. Again, same with the LEA lead sponsor and the campus level lead. Um, Again, the LEA implementation plan that was developed, you submitted that last year along with campus contact info. A lot of people are sending me an email or a help desk ticket letting us know if there's been turnover. Hey, this person is no longer here. Please update their contact info to this person. That's really helpful, just so that way you make sure you never miss a communication. Again, you submitted schedules and a data monitoring plan all last year. And then requesting only licenses that will be accessed. If you all have had a significant drop in your enrollment and you haven't let us know that already, please do let us know before students are accessing licenses. We are able to easily remove licenses prior to being accessed, and then we can potentially give them to an LEA who maybe didn't, maybe their enrollment increased and they are wanting more licenses. So please just let us know. I mentioned this before, but there's a couple things I'm going to repeat several times because they're super important. Providers are required to collect that TSDS number. Please make sure you work with your IT department. They are going to continue to bug you until they get it. And so it's the way that they are going to track students. So it's very, very important that that number is communicated. That is different than the student's SIS ID that they have in your system. So just make sure that that TSDS number is being able to be provided.
Krista, there's a question in the Q&A that may apply to several on the call, and I'll generalize it. If they were approved for a change from one provider to another, do they need to register or do anything, or should the provider be reaching out, or is that ESA or somebody? It looks like it may be answered there. Do they need to do anything to reach out to the new provider, or should the provider be reaching out to them?
Yeah. So if you were approved a change in provider, then that has been communicated to the provider, and you should hear like someone on the provider's team should be reaching out to you. If you have not heard from them, so Shauna, if you don't think that your LEA has heard from them, again, submit a help desk ticket or I think my email might be in here. Let us know and we can again communicate with the provider and make sure that they reach out to you. But you shouldn't have to do anything. Someone on the provider team should be reaching out to your LEA to get you all set up.
Yep, and I dropped the help desk link in the chat for you. It's a direct link to the portal, so feel free to bookmark that. If you haven't heard from them, I would say by the end of this week, go ahead and complete a help desk ticket, and we can follow up with it early next week. We meet with the providers pretty frequently, and we can be sure to surface that with them.
And I'm going to repeat myself again. All licenses need to be accessed between September 1st and September 30th. If they are not accessed, it could result in a reduction of the non-access licenses, or if no students in your LEA have access licenses, it could be result in removal from the provider. I would say that likely if you're on this call, that's not going to happen. That's more like maybe an LEA participated last year. They're not wanting to participate again this year, but they haven't communicated that with us. That's really what we're looking for there. So as long as kids are logging in, you all should be fine. Just please make sure that all students are accessing prior to that September 30th date. And again, rostering and training needs to happen prior to that so that students can log in quickly. So again, providers should have been in contact with you. If they have not yet, they should be very soon to make sure that training happens and all of that happens very quickly. And then just reiterating, if students log in August, they will need to log in again after September 1. Our grant does end, as Colby had mentioned, that at the end of February 2026. We would love for it to continue to the end of the year. Unfortunately, due to the funding source, we cannot extend it. And so just ensure that you're working with your provider. They are very aware of this end date, so they should be proactive in reaching out to let you all know what their plan is to try to continue the partnership with you. But certainly keep that date in mind. We don't want anyone to get to January or middle of February and then be blindsided that, oh, you're going to lose access to these licenses. So licenses do end in February, which we are aware is kind of a weird end date. It's just the nature of the funding. The next few slides are going to be slides that we asked each provider to provide us with a slide just of information. It may have contact information. So if we come to your provider slide, it may be a good thing to like screenshot if you need someone's contact information. Or as I had mentioned, these will be posted within about a week or so to the LASSO website. So you can find that information there as well. So this one is going to be Age of Learning, My Math Academy. They have some new information this year. I'm not going to read off these slides. I'm just going to kind of cycle through them and let you all read through them if they are your provider. Something of note, they have a new point of contact. Courtney Burr, her information again is on this slide. And then they have some office hours that are all of the providers have office hours upcoming, but they have a sign up available on this slide that again will be posted within the next week. Our next provider is Carnegie or Mathia. Again, I'm not going to read through this slide, but they have training and office hours that can also be signed up for. They actually have an additional slide that I'll go to in just a second with their contact information. But if Carnegie is your provider, you will definitely want to make sure that you sign up for training and office hours with them. And they do note their recommended usage is that 20 minutes per week. Here is that contact information for Stephanie Duran. Again, if you want to screenshot it, if you need to get in contact with her, you're more than welcome to. Our next provider is Curriculum Associates or iReady. So they have some information about previous or current districts that they're working with. They have their contact information for Claudia on here as well. Screenshot if you need to, and then I will let you read through some of their information here as well. This one is iReady as well. They have their recommended usage again at 30 to 49 minutes a week with 70% average passing rate. IXL is our next provider. Again, they have some contact information down at the bottom and some QR codes that you're welcome to scan if you would like to access those. ST Math is our next provider. They have their recommended weekly usage on this slide as well. Something to note for ST Math is that their usage is different depending on which grade level your students are enrolled in. So that's an important call out for them. They also talk a little bit about some districts that they have previously partnered with, and they have their contact information on this slide as well. So again, screenshot if you would like, or this will be available to you in about a week. And last but certainly not least, we have Zern. They have contact information on this slide as well. They also talk about their office hours and a link to sign up for that if you have not yet. And then they will have some ongoing support and training to help you all get started for the year. Also, Zern wanted to let me know that everyone should have received an email from Alexandra Salinas or Maritza Morales to get started for the 25-26 school year, and that you are welcome to reach out to either of them for questions. They said an important first step is to make sure that your training is scheduled for admin and for teachers, and encourage all students to log in as soon as possible. We wanted to provide this webinar for anyone that may be new to the initiative or just need a refresher, but we also wanted to provide a more interactive time frame if people had specific to their LEA questions. And so we do have two office hour opportunities coming up. These both will be next week. No new information will be shared during these office hours. This will simply be a come and go time for your LEA to come, ask questions, have them answered. We can help with anything you might need at this time. Maybe you could send if you have a new program contact, they could come and just get to know us a little bit better. But we will be hosting those next week. We tried to do a morning and an afternoon session, again, to accommodate the busy time of year that we know this is. So those are linked. They were also linked in the email that I sent you all, but again, you can submit a help desk ticket if you want those links or if you've lost them. Finally, we just wanted to provide some information on LASSO 4 that is coming up. Please note, MSC is not a part of LASSO 4. We were a part of LASSO 2, but we wanted to promote the LASSO 4 cycle in case your LEA is interested. The application window for that opens in October and closes in December. It will include 15 initiatives to support learning acceleration and innovation, which is going to estimate around $397 million. So lots of great things coming. Definitely look into that. You are able to go to the LASSO Cycle 4 webpage to learn about more information, or if you have a specific question, that LASSO email is the right point of contact for you, and they'll be able to answer most of the questions that you have. Finally, we've said this, but these are the three most important parts from today's webinar. Please make sure you are sending your TSDS to providers. Please make sure students access licenses between September 1 and September 30th. And please remember that licenses do end in February. So you'll want a plan of what to do with students from if you want to continue to use licenses past February for the end of the school year.
We had Krista, we had a question about what specific day in February. It is the last day in February, so the 28th is when the licenses end, which is a Saturday, February 28th at midnight Central Standard Time. I guess Central Time, it would end. The licenses would end at that time. So
Too bad it's not a leap year. Maybe we would have got an extra day.
so
Um, go. Here is our points of contact. Again, the help desk. I'm in the help desk multiple times a day. If you submit a ticket, you will likely get a response very quickly. We also have our accelerated instruction webpage. And for general grant, we can answer specific MSC questions, but if you have a general LASSO question, that LASSO email is going to be the best way to ask those sorts of questions. If you ask us, we certainly can direct you to them if we're not the right person to ask. That is everything that we have for you all today. If anybody has questions, I believe if you raise your hand, I can allow you to talk, or you're welcome to put your questions in the chat. Otherwise, if you do not have any questions, then we really appreciate you all attending. Again, we hope to see you at the office hours where you can ask specific questions. And if you don't mind scanning the QR code, and just completing it's a super quick exit ticket, that we would love that. And I hope that you all have an amazing start to your year. If today was your first day of school, congratulations. Hope you made it through, or you have a couple more hours probably. But we are excited for this school year and to see student usage continue to grow. I am going to go ahead and stop the recording. But again, if anybody has a question and they want to be able to talk, if you raise your hand,